If not for the elation of the Waker crowd, Mitchell Marsh's roar might just about have been heard around a state. The Australian all-rounder's maiden Test century elicited the most primal of celebrations on Saturday, throwing his powerful arms into the air with the force with which he had been battering the England attack and just about tackling his captain Steve Smith, himself nearing a double hundred, with a mighty man hug. This was the hard-earned completion of an individual pursuit but also a family one. The Marsh family now has 3 Test centurions in its midst, Father Jeff, and sons Sean and Mitch. The pre-arranged family barbecue on Saturday night was poised to be one jubilant affair. Read more from Chris Barrett. Steve Smith did not cure cancer or reverse climate change at the Waker ground on Saturday, but it can only be a matter of time. The Australian captain has become such a weapon that England is thinking of building an intercontinental shield against him. Smith made 229 not out, his highest Test score, an innings almost without blemish. Is there any man who can match him? This day, there was. The oft-maligned Mitch Marsh made his maiden 100, a crushing hand of 181 not out, and with Smith put on an unbroken 300 for the 5th wicket. The pitch was unyielding to the England bowlers, but the runs still had to be made, and duly and stylishly and without compunction they were. Read more from Greg Baum. In the sub-Bradman echelon of Australian batsmen, Steve Smith is the only one who was unburdened by expectation early in his Test career. From Neil Harvey to Greg Chappell to Alan Border to Ricky Ponting, each of those greats had to carry the weight of their promise. Several others could. Alone among that elite, Smith was never tagged as the next Bradman. And yet he may be the one who ends his career closest to that mirage of perfection. It seems a long time ago that Smith was out of the Australian team more often than in. From his debut in 2010 to 2013, his potential was one for the true believers. The tics and eccentricities portended a flighty temperament, and the affront to orthodoxy in his grip, his stance and his shot selection had him consigned to the stereotypes of the age in which he grew up. Many foresaw a future in 2020 theatre sports, improvisation and invention rather than the Shakespearean rhythms of Test cricket. And those were the kind ones. To a great number, he was a laughing stock. As Smith batted through Saturday, his escort was Mitchell Marsh. During their partnership that soon turned into an avalanche, they had time to swap a few stories about being ridiculed. Smith, in the past 4 years, has buried the early opinions of his Test match batting so deep under his thousands of runs that few can remember them, let alone own up to them. Read more from Malcolm Knox.